Hello, everyone. I hope you are having a great day. I jumped on a little early today and give people time to join in today. And I hope everybody's having a great day. Give everybody some time to log on and join the show. Hope everybody's having a good day. We are so close to the holiday. How many days do we have left? Today is the 14th, so we have 11 days until Christmas. So if we have 11 days till Christmas, and how many? But 16 days, 17 days until the end of the new year. Oh my gosh, that is crazy. So if you are just jumping on, and I can't see you if you're on YouTube, but I can see you if you're on Facebook. So if you're on Facebook and you're joining, yay, put your name in the chat so we can properly greet you. And then we are going to begin to jump into today. Life is only a decision. And I'm Dawn Marie Alexander, your host, your Uncommon Voice coaching consultant. And we also are the host of the Process 319 Unleash Faith-Based podcast for those who are looking to seek the face of the Father and journey to the high places in God. So we want you to do that. Hey, Candace, again, we have some champions on the line today. Fantastic. Well, many of you know that I don't like to be long-winded. Well, those that know I don't like to be long-winded on Facebook, let's put it that way. In person, it might be another story. So, but we're just going to jump in. Well, last week we talked about the pleasure principle and how the pleasure principle is really that thing that we put a name to. People may not know it, but it's that phenomenon that causes people to stay where they are, to stay stuck, to stay in negative situations, bad situations, stay overweight, underweight, drug addicts that just stay in bad situations. So what I want to do is give you again the definition of it. It was Freud is the one that really dissected or discovered this theory, and it's been used in areas of motivation or understanding it for many, many years in the psychology industry. So it's a tendency for individuals in their behavior to be directed towards immediate satisfaction of instinctual drives and immediate relief from pain or discomfort, and AKA the chocolate cake when you don't feel good. We immediately go to what's comfortable. We immediately go to what's easy. We immediately stay with the person that's beating your brains out because you know it. It's familiar to you. Okay. Now, there's not to say that there aren't situations where people can be healed and delivered from that stuff and just really begin to understand, okay, this isn't the proper way to handle. So we're not talking about that. What we're talking about is when we have people being satisfied, being unsatisfied, somewhat, it's the tendency to go to what is familiar. It's that immediate gratification, even if that immediate gratification is wrong, bad for you. You're a drug addict. You can't stop. You're a smoker. You know you shouldn't. You're overweight. You probably shouldn't. My case is that I don't eat enough. I probably just don't eat. To the point where when I say to people that I don't feel well, they just look at me cross-eyed like, did you eat? That's my situation. Because it's never been a big deal. I trained myself not to because of situations that I've gone through. So I'm not talking about what I don't know. It is going to what feels good. Many times people use food. And so what does that have to do with setting our goals? What does that have to do as we're moving into this week, talking about goal setting, those key strategies that we're going to help you achieve and execute your goals? Is that if I don't wrestle it by the hand and say, you know what? I'm not going to do what feels good. I'm going to do what's right. I'm going to do what's going to help me get to my goal. I'm going to do what's going to help me get to my 5-year goal, my 10-year goal, my 1-week goal, my 2-week goal, my goal. And it has to have meaning. It has to have purpose. And it can only have purpose to you. It may not mean anything to anybody else. What does it mean to you? So if you want to achieve $10,000, which is not hard, depending on your income and what you're willing to sacrifice and what you're willing to do. Let's say the end of your year goal, 2022, the end of my year goal is to save $10,000. Breaking it down, that means that you're a little over $1,000 a month, or probably somewhere about 1,500, give or take a few, a month to accomplish that goal. Because 2,000 a month would be 24,000, right? So we're somewhere in between there. So what does that mean? What does that look like? That requires you to create a budget. That requires you to say, okay, I can't spend money on Netflix, or I can't go to McDonald's every day or every other day, or I can't go to Starbucks. It means that I'm going to have to do what is uncomfortable. I'm no longer going to go for the immediate satisfaction. I'm going to go for the long-term satisfaction. So as we're stepping in today to look at how do I achieve my goals? How do I make sure that the way I start, because we've been talking about this, ladies and gentlemen, since August, September, about ending well for 2021 and beginning well for 2022. So if you're just now jumping in, you're behind the 8 ball, because it takes time to reflect. It takes time to sit back and go, well, why didn't I achieve my goals? And what do I want to achieve for next year? What did I finish achieving for this year? So I want you to think about this. As I was preparing for this, when you're looking at your goals, you have to look at 4 areas. Are you going to look at short-term pleasure or long-term pleasure? Or a short-term pain or short-term pleasure? Short-term pain or short-term pleasure? Long-term pain or long-term pleasure? Now, if you look at that, short-term pain, meaning I'm going to sacrifice now so that I can have long-term pleasure later. I'm going to sacrifice the chocolate cake today so I can have chocolate cake when I feel like it later. Why? Because I'm going to treat myself. It's my reward. Because you're not going for what feels good right now. Too often, we do not achieve our goals because we abort the process. We abort accountability. We abort. Hi, I'm not sure who you are, but thanks for saying hello. Go ahead and type it in the chat for me, please. And I will say hello. We abort. We abort the goal. We abort the purpose. We abort our desires. We abort it all for one reason and one reason only usually. I want to be comfortable now. I want to feel good now. I want to get through it now. I don't want to go. I want now. Now, I'm going to run to McDonald's now. I know I only have $1. I'm going to spend $2. I'll probably end up getting $20, NSF fee, but I want what I want right now. But we don't save. So then we can't even handle a big emergency. So your short-term pain is going to help you achieve that long-term goal. And until you deal with those things, until you say, okay, I got to deal with this pleasure principle. I got to stop going for the immediate satisfaction. And I have to go for what's going to get me to my ultimate goal. I want $10,000 at the end of the year. I want to lose weight or gain weight by the end of the year. I want to fit into go. What is it that you want? Now, when you're looking at those, now you could do it this way. I'll say this way. Short-term pleasure is going to give you long-term pain. Short-term pleasure will give you long-term pain. How are you going to deal with that? What are you going to do with that short-term pleasure? How are you going to address that? Many people in relationships have gone for the short-term pleasure. And then they end up what? With long-term pain that might last 18 years or longer. So it's important to deal with yourself. It's important to be accountable. It's important to have that time of reflection. We talked about that a few weeks ago on reflectiveness. Let me reflect on my life. Let me reflect on why do I keep doing? Why do I keep going to that thing? Because it's comfortable. And until you break the cycle, Nothing will change. Nothing will change. You'll keep doing the same old thing. Insanity. What do they call insanity? Keep doing the same thing, expecting a different result. It is not going to happen. Let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, there are a myriad of ways. There are more ways to skin a cat when it comes to setting goals. But I can promise you for this, if you don't deal with your pleasure principle, if you don't get uncomfortable and you keep doing things the way that you've been doing it, you won't get there. You won't get there. We talked about, and I'm bringing it kind of really all together, who you are needs to align with your behaviors. So what goals are you trying to achieve? Are those goals aligning with who you say that you are? Who you say that you are. So if we had to say anything, number one, with great goal setting, number one key strategy, achieve, execute, deal with your pleasure principle. Deal with the immediate satisfaction that is keeping you stuck in short-term pleasure and hindering your long-term pleasure. Your short-term pleasure, going for it, is going to hinder your ability to achieve your goal, and that goal is your long-term pleasure. Having money in the bank, having a good relationship, achieving the goals in your business, achieving the goals in your health and wellness. You write it down, which is my second point. What are the categories in your life that you need to address? And let me just take a sidebar. You may need to hire a coach. If you do, put that in the message. PM me. Message me. Let's get together. Let's set some time so that we can begin to look at those areas that are hindrance, and let's help you create a plan. It's a personal plan. It's not going to be goal setting is not one size fits all. It just is not. And then the second thing, you may have to reach out to a counselor, because coaches deal with your present and your future, and counselors deal with your past. And you may need to go deal with some issues if you aren't able to put things in place right now that's going to get you from where you are to where you want to go. Number two, what are the categories? What are the categories that you want to achieve those goals in? For example, there should be one for business and one for personal. Under your personal, you may have areas of personal finances, health and wellness, spiritual. How do you want to grow? I never recommend adding more than you need to, because what will happen is if you have too many in your personal, you might not do well in your business. So you want to make sure that we're balanced. And then they may cross over with each other as well. And we want to make sure that our goals and our categories are aligning with the values that we say that we are. So if we say that we're Christians or we're faith-based people, then our goals and our alignment should align with that. Or our goals and our behaviors should align with that. Our categories should align with that. Okay? And then next, accountability. Now, these aren't all in the exact order because everybody thinks a little bit different, but accountability. Again, having a coach. And if you aren't going to hire a coach, it's going to keep you accountable. You better have a real friend, that's going to tell you about yourself. That's going to have a come to Jesus conversation. No, nay, we're not doing that. And you need to be able to record your wins. What are you going to do when you reach that goal? If you gave up the chocolate cake, what can you do in its place when you hit your goal? Can you find another way to eat chocolate that's not going to have the calories? What can you do to reward yourself? See, when I was a mortgage lender, I always said to people when they had to create a budget and make a plan for purchasing a home, I said, you're going to have to give up something. Yes, you are. Now some people will tell you, give up everything, give up. No, I'm not like that, because then you're going to blow it at the end of the week, the month, or whatever. Something comes up, you aren't going to be able to handle it. What I say is, you're going to have to sacrifice something. You need to go through your list of expenditures, and find out what you're going to give up. You want to get out of debt? What are you going to give up? You have to decide. What means? For me, thanks to COVID, I learned how to do hi, Ursula. I learned how to do my nails and my lashes myself, because when I started figuring out how much it costs and some financial goals that I wanted to achieve, there was no way I was going to give somebody $200 a month when I could do it myself and enjoy it. Turn on a good movie, grab a cup of coffee, and it was a girl moment for myself. It was a self-care moment. These are things that we can do to make it fun. What are you going to give up? Who are you going to put in place to help you be accountable to your goals? Again, PM me, put it in the message on YouTube, put it in the message on Facebook. I want to connect with you and help you. So we have what? Deal with your immediate satisfaction. So the pleasure principle. No longer going for immediate satisfaction. We are going to go for what's hard. We're going to go for the short-term pain to achieve our long-term pleasure. That's number one. Number two, what are we going to do? We're going to find accountability. You're either going to hire me as your coach, or you're going to find a mean friend that you know is your friend that loves you and is going to tell you about yourself so that you're just going to keep you accountable to those goals. Number three, you're going to write it down. A goal or a budget that is not written down is not a goal or a budget. It's not. It's an idea. It's a figment of your imagination. It's floating up there with the weeds somewhere. It's not going to get done. You need to not only write it down, but then the key points, you better stick on every sticky note mirror that you can find. How desperate are you to get there? How desperate are you to get there? Next, categories in life. What categories are you going to focus on? Do you feel like you can handle, okay, business, personal, work, personal, and then break it down? And then you have to design that planner. If you might do a bullet journal, you might find a special one that fits with your brain. And we can talk about that. But what are you going to do? So personal, health and wellness, spiritual, you want to read, your intellectual. What are those 2 to 3 to 4 personal goals that you want to achieve this year or next year? Write them down. And then how are we going to track it? And then creating your rewards. What are those rewards going to be? So this is just a start. We might hit some more next week. There may be a person you want to be. You maybe want to be a leader. It doesn't matter. It's not up to me. It's really up to who are you? Who do you want to be? Who do you say that you are? And are your goals, are your activities in life aligning to who you are? I struggle with getting anywhere on time. I'm up to get there on time. I'm up 3 hours before, but I putt. I don't know what happened. I look at the clock later and it's like, I'm not there. I'm running out the door. So what am I learning to do? Creating habits, laying clothes out the night before, keeping a track of things on my calendar, looking at it daily, saying, you know what, you're a squirrel. So a lot of goal setting happens to know who you are. And I'm a squirrel. So what do I do instead? I'm like, you know what? Don't touch the phone. Get out the bed. Don't pass go. Walk the dog and do what you have to do. I can't do a lot of extra. It doesn't work for me. So you have to find where is your struggle? Where are you? Where's the rub for you that's going to get you there? And then lastly, but not least, and we talked about this in a few videos before, is you have to have in place a fallback. So if you lose your job, the goal doesn't change. You're still going to pursue the goal. So what's your side hustle going to be? What are you going to put in place? If you have a lot of emotional things that come up and you love chocolate cake or German chocolate cake or whatever, what are you going to do? You know what? No. Instead of doing that, instead of going to what is comfortable, instead of going to what feels good, have an escape plan. Have an escape plan to get back out. So if this helped you, ministered to you, gave you some good suggestions, gave you something to think about, then what I'd like you to do, again, is message me. My name is Dawn Marie, aka An Uncommon Voice, Coaching and Consulting. And I want you to message me if you want coaching or if you have questions or feedback or whatever you want. Put it in the chat. Let's talk about it. And I'll be with you next week. So we went a little over today, but I wanted to make sure that I address some of these issues. And maybe next week, we'll get into a little more talking about visualization and putting that vision board together. What it looks like for you But for right now, I'm going to let you go and have a great day. I hope you learned something. And again, thank you for joining. This is Dawn Marie Alexander Borsico, your host of an Uncommon Voice Coaching and Consulting. Life is only a decision. And I look forward to seeing you all next week. Take care.